Welcome to the Shift Show, episode 6.
Episode 6.
But live this time.
Yeah, so we're trying something a little bit new. Paulo, Matt, welcome to the Shift Show. We're trying something a little bit new this time. Instead of like a pre-recorded podcast where we drop stuff in later, we've kind of front-loaded a little bit of the production. We're going to share our screen here, go through our usual format, but we wanted to have it as more of a live forum, so hopefully you guys can, engage a little bit more, have a better chance to answer or ask your questions and that sort of thing. So, why don't we start with what's new on the channel. As always, make sure you check out the bottom of the videos to check out our merch. We're both in the tie-dye. This, I think, is black.
It's either black
hoodie,
or blue.
Champion, heavy canvas, you said last time, cotton. So we've got merch. We've also got memberships live on the channel that kind of takes the place of our Patreon. There's going to be more effort going there. So if you do decide to become a member of the channel, I'll reach out to you individually and ask if you want anything reviewed on the channel. And then we make a concerted effort to get that done for you. So it's like $3 a month. Just helps support us in what we do here. And yeah, we talked about our live stream format, so I think we can start with some questions and answers. So why don't you start there, and I'm going to try to get on the stream here.
Yeah.
So I can see what's going on.
The first question was, you don't have who asked it, but that's fine.
I think PowerShot asked all the questions. So you can ask questions ahead of time, and we'll have like actual effort spent into giving you like a good answer. If you ask questions live on the stream, we'll give our best answer off the cuff.
You
but
don't
if
know
you want like a thought-out answer that's intelligent, ask it in the previous podcast.
So they asked, what feature options do you find are the most gimmicky, and what extras are worth the splurge? So I'll answer while you're still trying to get that up.
Yep, go ahead.
Gimmicky voice assistants. I really don't know who's using it in their vehicle. I don't think I know anyone that uses voice assistants in their car.
I've never once used it. I'm annoyed by it constantly, especially in Mercedes reviews.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when we're reviewing a car and we say the name, it just happened in the Kia Carnival. Oh
yeah.
Then the other thing is massage seats in like non-Lux cars, where it's more of just an annoyance vibrating, like similar to how the Chevy vibrates when you're...
Oh yeah, like when you're like drifting out of your lane, it'll like vibrate the seat.
Exactly. That's kind of, so like that just feels gimmicky to me.
Yeah.
And then
some of the massages are not so great.
Worth the splurge to me, I said cooled seats.
Yes.
360 cameras.
100%.
Any sort of advanced
Say the names.
Autopilot.
Say what you
Super
wrote.
Cruise and Blue Cruise.
You love a Blue Cruise.
Well, I love Super Cruise more.
No, they're good. They're very good.
Heads-up display, and then the other one that I didn't have on here but came to my mind, rear steer.
Oh my God.
Worth the splurge.
We're into the first question. We're already getting into rear steer territory.
If it's an option, I think it's worth it. So the
EV,
the Land Rover.
Oh yeah, the Range Rover. The Range Rover that we were in.
Yeah, the Range Rover.
Hummer EV. Did you say that?
Yep.
Okay.
I think that's all we've had.
I think
we've had one more.
I've tested some German stuff, so like some BMWs and Mercedes at IA, but I don't think you were there for some of those.
Don't they have rear steer in Chevy trucks now too? Silverado.
The Silverado EV, I think, has some. Yeah, and then like the Cadillac Escalade IQ, which we're going to have in 2 weeks. So we've got the Ram not the TRX, sorry, the RHO this coming week. Remove Hellcat option, apparently. And then we've got the Escalade IQ the week after, which an Escalade IQ was asked for by one of our members. So shout out to you, PowerShot. We're getting that done. That's coming in 2 weeks, so stay tuned for that.
Did you have any other gimmicky or splurges that you had?
Yeah, I think we've talked about gesture control in the past.
I don't hate it as much, dude.
The
next song is kind of nice. Kind of like
I've never used it once. I don't plan on ever using it. I think BMW is phasing it out, so leave that there. Passenger side screen. That'll be in the Ram RHO that we have this week. It has a little passenger side screen. Clever thing about that one, though, I think what I mostly mean about the passenger screen and even like rear entertainment screens is like even in the Benzes that I've tested, like the S63AMG, it is just a mirroring of the infotainment system. In America here, at least, we don't live in like a chauffeur culture. So whoever's driving should have operation of the infotainment system because they're probably the owner of the car. They're like, whatever. There's generally not people like sitting in the back that are like the main person, like the main character in the car. So to also have that in the passenger side is a little silly.
Yeah.
But what they've done, at least in the Ram and some of the other ones too, they've said like, okay, well, we're going to give you the option to hook up like an HDMI cord and you can like watch content. Yeah, that makes sense to me. And I forgot to advance our slide. Look at this. Look at the production that we have here.
I assume that the driver won't be able to see the screen.
Yeah, it's got that like privacy
Yeah.
screen kind of thing. So depending on where you're sitting, you can't see it.
Are you up on the live stream now? So you have it up?
Yes, I can see. It's over here. So I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth. So if you have stuff, leave it in the chat, and then we'll talk about it a little bit later.
Okay, next slide.
But we'll keep it moving.
So the next question is about future classics. So
Yes.
which new vehicles are on sale today that in the year 2100 will be admiring? And bonus points if it's less than $150,000 today.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is just like what's going to be collectible
Yeah.
in like 80 years or something like that, 75 years. I have a long list, so I'm going to go real fast, I promise. I'm not going to dwell on anything. If you want me to talk about anything more, leave it in the chat and then we'll go back to it. I just want to start off with EVs. Nothing EV, at least so far, feels collectible to me. I don't think we're going to be fawning over anything EV in the year 2100. Like maybe the original Tesla Roadster that was like on the Elise chassis, maybe a VW ID Buzz, but I really doubt it. And then maybe a Hyundai Ioniq 5N, just because these kind of are...
It was like the first one to do it.
Yeah.
It's like the Model T.
And that's kind of the same thought with the Tesla Roadster. It's like the first to do it, and it has some like historical significance that way. But I don't think like rich people are going to like yearn after it or like lust after it. It's not going to be at a Concorde d'Elegance.
I almost feel like that far in advance, it might not even be any vehicle that's around. I mean, think like what cars do we have that are 80 years old today? That'd be a 1940s car. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too hung up on like the timing. I think they just mean like what's going to be collectible.
yeah.
But yeah, I guess to your
30
point,
to 50
like
years.
to stand 100 years, you know,
It's impressive.
that's a long time.
Yeah, well, 80 or 75
Sure,
years.
right. So yeah, nothing generally EV feels collectible to me. Obviously, a lot of the exotic stuff, like Aston Martin's coming out with like the Vantage, the Victor, I think is cool. Valhalla, all the Aston stuff, I think is interesting. McLarens, Lambos, Ferraris. I don't want to touch on that, especially because they mentioned like let's keep it under 150K.
I was gonna say.
So here's my rapid fire. Audi RS6 Avant can still be had under 150K. That could be collectible. Integra Type S, Civic Type R, Giulia Quadrifoglio, that BMW 3.0 CSL. So like it's kind of built on an M4, but it's like the old, kind of heritage thing. Cadillac CT5V Blackwing, 100% collectible. C8 Z06 and ZR1. That generation, mid-engine, first time the Corvette went mid-engine, high power stuff. Hellcat stuff, I think there's maybe too many made to be like super collectible, but some of the like limited edition final call ones,
yeah. I think those
like a
ones
Demon,
too.
maybe whatever. Lotus Emira,
Yep,
I think that's really cool.
agreed.
Ford Mustang GTD, America's GT3, Porsche. Wrangler 392, just awesome, just pure awesome. Lexus LC500, of course. Maserati MC20, I'm kind of on the fence about this because it's kind of been panned by other people, and it's a Maserati, so I don't know, but it looks the business.
It won't last that long.
No. AMG GT63 Pro, maybe, but I don't know. That one's also kind of on the fence. GR Corolla, though.
That one surprised me.
Yeah. GR Corolla, I think would be good, and then you have one in here too.
Yeah, Porsche Cayman GTS.
So it looks like you agreed with a lot of this stuff, though.
Yeah, I bolded the ones that I thought too.
Yeah, so you bolded Blackwing, C8 stuff, Hellcat stuff, Lotus, Mustang GTD, and then Cayman.
Next question.
I forgot I have to advance slides now. Now there's so much more stuff to do.
Right, and you forgot to breathe, it sounded like.
I
Now
did.
you're breathing again.
Now when I have to go fast, I don't breathe. That's a fault of mine.
Okay, the next question was Restomod. So obviously we primarily cover new vehicles, but are there any Restomods that have caught your eye?
Yes.
Yeah, so I've been a huge fan of like the Land Rover Defenders. There's a lot of them in Africa and Australia where they Restomod the older Land Rover, the Defenders, which are really cool.
You see some of the, like those Land Rovers on Instagram that have like the teak wood decking in the trunk, just like super luxury, like meticulous detail, really impressive stuff. Also like some of the Gateway Bronco stuff that you see on Instagram. Like I think they're actually maybe being attacked by Ford legally for doing some of that stuff because they're actually using current Broncos and making them look, like putting old sheet metal on them. But they look cool. So. Sorry, go ahead.
I also had 60s Mustangs, Camaros, Chevelles.
This is a new thing for you, the old muscle cars.
Yeah, it is.
We were talking about this a year ago.
I know. I don't know why. It's just really cool when they throw a big V8 into older cars. Or like, I've seen a few builds of people throwing like an LS2 into like a Gen 4 Prius, and that really tickles my fancy.
You sent me some of this just most like clapped out shit
Yeah,
sometimes,
it's like
and it is like
it looks
what
like
algorithm are you on?
a piece of shit Prius, which I love. Like I love
Yes.
that. Like it's got dents. The headlights are all like they have like that screen.
They're like foggy.
Yeah, they're all
yeah.
they're completely fogged out, and then it just has like an insane LS2 in it. It sounds incredible.
It's like Uber sleeper.
Well, and I think I like it because it's really troll.
Yeah, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
That tracks for you. I had a couple. Mine were a bit different direction. So I have the Lancia Evo 37 or EVO 037. It's the 037, and they've Restomod it. It looks amazing, super cool. It's been reviewed a few times. There's also the Volvo P1800 Cyan. Super, super cool looking. Just like old, classic, tasteful vintage.
Yeah.
And then this one I actually had seen on Instagram a few years ago. And I think it was green at that point, but it's like Totem Automobili has a Instagram account, and they have this old Alpha GTA Modificata, and it is just the coolest, classy. It's like Singer levels of detail. It's just done so well, and it's an Alpha GTA. It's just the coolest thing ever. So I really, really like those. Those are the three that really stood out to me for Restomods. There's of course other ones. There's a link in here that Top Gear did that covers a few of them. I agree with most of them, not all of them, but that'll be down in the description.
Dude, the vintage Grand Wagoneer is pretty sick.
Yes. I think even Sadie would drive that. I brought one up on like Bring a Trailer or something a few years ago. It was like full wood side paneling and everything, and she was like, that's hot, I would drive that. And that was, I think, LS swapped, or like somehow swapped.
Or the Ferrari 348s.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff out there.
Yeah, there is.
Let's get to the next one, future tech. What technological advancements in the automotive space are you hoping to see in the next 5, 10, and 15 years? What are the most underappreciated advancements so far this century, which you feel have been overlooked? I had a couple that I'm looking forward to. Solid-state batteries. So obviously, if we keep going down the EV path, which is a little bit more up in the air lately than it has been in the past year. But I do think that we'll continue to see more EVs develop. The manufacturers have dumped too much into them.
Are you talking about the next 5 years right now?
Yeah, probably 5. Solid state seems like a 5-year jump. But yeah, solid state batteries are either going to, with the existing pack, double your range. So it's basically like doubling energy density versus like a liquid cooled pack. Or you can take half the battery pack out, and then you remove everyone's biggest complaint with EVs, that they're heavy.
Right.
You know, the 9,000 pound Hummer EV now becomes 7,000 pounds.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say.
So still heavy,
pounds,
but like less, while still having the same range. And I think, you know, to be honest, I think that's probably where it'll go, rather than like doubling the range, because I think the infrastructure for the EVs will continue to improve, and I don't think we need 600-mile range. Like I just don't think we do. Like there's no vehicle on sale today that has a 600-mile range. I'm probably wrong about that, but like there's going to be like 1 or 2 examples. So it's like not needed, because even in the 300-mile range Toyota Tacoma Trailhunter, that's a little bit of a different case, because it could be like an off-road trail, like overland kind of thing. It's like a distance cruiser.
Right.
But like in your day-to-day car, you don't need more than 300 miles, because there's a gas station on every corner. Once we have like reliable EV chargers on every other corner, range anxiety becomes less of a thing.
Yeah.
And people just like acclimate to it.
Right.
So there's that. I think synthetic fuels would be really cool. They're going to debut it in racing. Formula One obviously is talking about, and I think they've moved it back to maybe 2029, and I think maybe they've even canned it for now. But running V10s on synthetic fuels, so it'll start there. It'll start in racing, and then like super limited edition, high tier Halo car stuff, and then eventually trickle down. Hopefully, maybe. And then however they make EVs fun, interesting, sound and shifting. There's more than one manufacturer has patented like a manual transmission for an EV. Jeep did it at their Jeep Easter Safari, whatever, like 3 years ago, and then we heard nothing about it. I think Ford's done it. So I don't know. Stuff will happen. Stuff will happen. Did you have anything that you really are looking forward to in the next 5, 10, 15?
None of these things I'm actually looking forward to. I just think they're going to happen. Well, the level 3, level 4 autonomy driving becoming more standard. I think that'll be nice. under certain conditions, like the highway. Better mileage for solid-state batteries, you mentioned that. I think there's going to be a lot more over-the-air updates for new features. I think of like the Rivian had how you can have your brights on, but oncoming cars won't be affected because it'll block out those
diodes.
Yeah, like those. Yep. Yeah. So like, I just
stuff
think
that Audi's been doing in Europe for like 3 years already.
Right. Yeah. But we'll probably get more of that, and then 10 to 15 years. I just said even more autonomy. I think where it makes sense, like in certain cities where they've mapped out completely like the land. I mean, they're already having
like what Waymo's doing in
exactly.
San Fran.
Yeah, they're already doing a lot of that. I think like the interiors then probably come more like lounges since you're focusing less on actually driving and you don't have to be as attentful.
Yeah.
And then I also think eventually fewer people are going to own cars and you'll just use them as like a service. Like
this is, I think, once we start to, because I am still leery on like what level of autonomy we'll actually achieve in the next 20 years.
I don't think it's going to be like countrywide, but there's going to be cities where it's like you don't need to actually drive this whole city. You could do Waymo, basically.
Yeah, in like a New York, that makes total sense. A San Fran and LA, like that would make a lot of sense. I think that starts to become like a really interesting thought experiment of like, okay, your car drives for you. You can just summon it as easily as like calling an Uber and get to where you want to go. And you pay a little subscription fee. You don't have to insure it. You don't have to fuel it. You don't have to do anything like that. It's just built in. And now we start talking about like a really different look of society potentially. Now there's still going to be people like us that want to have cars and drive our cars.
Yeah.
But for like the normal layperson that just commutes to work, you can schedule your ride or your Uber in the morning, get to work, and then come back and do whatever things you need to do. And then you don't need to have a garage. We don't need as many parking lots, so we can have more like parks or things around the city or like green spaces.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be like I think that's just going to be big cities. Like I don't see that catching on.
No, not
rapidly.
In like rural areas.
Yeah.
No. But I'm just thinking like if we roll the ball down the hill and just think this through, like what could it look like? It's really interesting. It's really fascinating to me to go down that road. But yes, let's I guess keep things focused on the here and now. Is there anything else that you think is going to happen in the next 5, 10, 15?
No. And then the latter half of that question was
what's been overlooked?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question says over the last century, seatbelts have been invented in the last century. That's a great one. That's a great piece of technology. Just general safety improvements overall. I think cars come now with a good amount of stuff, like the blind spot monitor, the blind spot cameras that we had in like the Carnival. That's really nice to have. You know, some people like them, don't like them, but I think we're at a good space right now, kind of like a Goldilocks zone where we have pretty much everything that we need to be pretty safe.
Yeah, I also think like the ingenuity around the frame and the metal that we use now to construct cars that kind of absorb some of the impact. You look at a car that crashed, you know, from the 40s or 50s compared to a car today. Yeah. They're a lot more safer and there's a lot fewer deaths on the road because of car accidents, which is nice.
Yeah.
I said rear steer.
Of course. Yeah, no, overall safety improvements have been fantastic. Rear steer is a nice thing, especially with everything now getting bigger and heavier. Being able to, you know, steer the rear is
you need to be able to maneuver your 9,000-pound Hummer EV.
Yeah. We won't go into this one too much, but I think EVs get a bad rap. I think they do. I think, you know, for how long we've been developing EVs, we're still kind of in like the infancy. Like obviously they've been around for longer, but we haven't really focused on them in the way that we did internal combustion. So we're still in the infancy of EVs, and the development rate is really aggressive. So they will get a lot better quickly as long as we keep continuing to develop them.
Well, yeah, but they're not really being like consumers are buying them less than the projections each year. Like,
but what I'm saying is
projecting.
I'm not talking about buying at all. I'm talking about like the development of like battery chemistry, motor design,
but you
efficiency.
You also have to think though. You have to be incentivized to do those things. If you see as a manufacturer that people are buying less EVs than predicted, why would you go and pour a bunch of R&D if there's actually no incentive? Because like there was government-backed incentives to doing some of that R&D.
So what are people's main complaints with EVs? That there's not enough range, that they're too expensive. Those are the two big ones, right? So if we continue to develop the battery chemistry, the motor efficiency, they'll get more range. And if we continue to
But you're assuming
go
that
solid state, then there's less raw materials, there's less rare metals that need to go in. They will get less expensive. And also manufacturing will improve, practices will improve. They will get less expensive to the point where they just are easier.
Yeah.
Not for everyone, not for every application.
Right.
But like for the person that has a CRV or a Prius that just needs to go to work and back, and then maybe have like an LC500 on the weekend.
Yeah, I just think a lot of people
They become a lot more appealing, I think.
still rather own an ICE or a hybrid than EV.
A lot of people on the internet that leave comments on videos, they for sure don't want EVs.
Well, and that's also just the stats of it. Like,
Yeah. No, I think, and what I'm talking about is like 5, 10, 15 years, like 10, 15 years down the road. When EVs have been around longer, more people have had experiences with them. Because a lot of people leaving comments, they don't have experience with EVs. They don't have an ownership experience. They don't really know what it's about. They think that people are trying to take their gas car away from them.
yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I could be totally wrong. Other tech, Apple CarPlay, awesome. Over-the-air updates, awesome. Air suspension, awesome, especially in a luxury and off-road application. Off-road, max clearance. Luxury, just soaks everything up, really nice. There's that BYD video that I sent you, where this guy's in like the kung fu stance, and the car is going over like the speed bumps.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And it was just insane what they're doing.
That's a Asian car manufacturer, right?
Chinese, yeah.
I saw a Chinese car that went into like 10 meters of water.
I think that's also a BYD. Yeah, there's like that SUV thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can tread water up to like 3 miles an hour, something slow.
Yeah,
But it can
really
be in the
slow.
water for like 30 minutes
Yeah.
and then drive out the other side.
That was cool.
Insane. Yeah, BYD is, we don't get them here, but they're doing some crazy stuff.
I know.
They're doing some crazy stuff.
Yeah. The
And they have like
manufacturers are
the
crushing
Rolls
it.
Royce automatic door with the button that closes
Yeah.
on
Well, it's
like
crazy
a
that they
$50,000 car.
allow water in for that amount of time. That's
Yeah.
really impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Shall we move on?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think that's a fed horse.
You're going to feed a fed horse. So let's talk about some of our favorite comments for the last however long it's been. One was from our last show, episode 5. I was drinking a can of 7-Up Tropical, which I'm going to do now. And somebody commented, exactly how many sips are in that tiny can, bro? Are you a hummingbird? It's like, I think I have this thing. When I talk on camera, I don't breathe. But then I also have this like nervous energy when I'm not talking, so I sip. So,
He's going to be a
7-Up
hummingbird
Tropical. Here
again
it is.
today.
It's going to happen. But I thought that was funny. On our Elantra End video, one of us said that we were 30 in the video, and then they commented, dude, you look 45. Love your videos, though. Which I did not know how to take.
I hope it wasn't me.
It was
I hope it
one of
wasn't
us.
you either, but
It was one of us. This one was probably the most garbage take I've ever heard. It was on our Ioniq 5 reel. And the comment was, I was displaying in the reel like the shifting sounds and everything. And the first part of it is, that's a toy, ... Which, yes. I mean, I could see how someone would have that opinion and make that point. That seems fair. But then they go and follow it up with, just get a real EV, like a Model 3. To which I went, okay now, hold on. What makes the Model 3 a real EV versus an Ioniq 5N? Everything about the Ioniq 5N is better, cooler, more interesting. Is it a toy? Is it a game? I could see that argument being made. But like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah, that's a hot take.
Garbage take. Why don't you do the CX-70 one?
Yeah, we get a lot of flack for our opinions on the CX-70.
I did not, when we shot that video, I did not think the CX-70 review was going to be like our most controversial
People
video.
call us haters. I had no idea how strong the Mazda Mafia was.
They're out there.
Yeah, so they said, it seems like you guys are CX-70 haters. Every other review on this vehicle is positive. Go review a
Yugo.
So I'll still die on the hill that it's basically a CX-90,
Right.
but with less features.
Yes. Well, and see, this is the thing. People
Like-
just, this is the comment that we always get. They think that we don't like the CX-70,
Yeah, no, we didn't like it.
which is not true at all.
We like it.
I like the CX-70. I just don't get the CX-70 because it is a CX-90 exactly minus a row of seats for a little bit more money.
Yeah, it's more expensive.
It's a good car.
And you can make
it
the
just doesn't
90.
make sense.
You can make the 90 look like a 70.
Yes.
By putting the seats down,
You
which
don't
is pretty
lose
crazy.
a lick of trunk space in the 90
Do we
by
have
just
any?
having the
Do we have
extra
any
seats.
comments on the live stream?
No, not yet. Hold on. Let me check. No. Dang. Guys, leave your comments. But yeah, CX-70, people think we hate it. We don't. We really don't.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Like, I thought we were very clear in the video, but apparently not.
Maybe we should reshoot that video.
I don't think Mazda will ever give it to us again because if they read any comments, they're going to think that we just panned their car. Okay, RAV4 versus CRV. This is one we did recently. Which one would Dominic Toretto drive off an airplane to save a loved one? Because we do anything for family.
That's a good comment.
I love the Fast and Furious love. Okay, what have we driven lately? Whoops, that's ahead of ourselves. We've driven some really interesting stuff.
What you want to have too?
Nissan Kicks. We drove a Nissan Kicks, which was a car.
Yeah.
And then this week we had a Kia Carnival. But also this week, I took my RAV4 hybrid and my wife's CRV hybrid to Road America's Motorplex. Shout out to Road America once again for letting us use your Motorplex. And I got times for each of those cars. No one has ever asked me to do this. No one will ever care about this when making a buying decision. But we have access to the track and we have the cars, so I thought, why not? And you wouldn't believe it. They're actually not very good on the track. They're fairly slow. But the RAV4 is a little bit less slow. So that's a win.
Even though you have the new tires on your CRV.
Well, yeah, so where it was really obvious was on power, actually. Like the CRV has 204 horsepower, the RAV4 has 219. That doesn't seem like a big enough difference to make like a noticeable change behind the wheel. It is.
Well, especially
On
on,
that
a
front
track
straight.
that momentum means more than top speed on that.
On the front straight, I was going into the first braking zone 5-6 miles an hour faster in the RAV4
Yeah, but what were
than
your
the CRV.
sector times?
I don't know. It was so the fastest thing we've ever had around that track is an Ioniq 5N and an M3 comp, and those are like 57 seconds. These cars were.
Wait, let me guess.
Okay.
You already said 1.0.
Well, obviously it wasn't less than a minute.
I know, but like that gives me a big hint. I would have
Oh,
gone.
you think like 110,
Yeah.
120s?
I bet it was like 108.
Yes. It was like 107 point something high. I think the RAV4 was like 107 point, let's say 7, and then the CRV was like the other side of 108. But they were 0.42 seconds difference. But yeah, no, the CRV actually drove really well on track. And it was interesting because we have the Kumo Solus HA32s, so it's an all-weather tire. So it's somewhere between like an all-season and a winter. But it's a softer compound. And the CRV also has less tire pressure. The RAV4 ran at we ran them at the manufacturer spec, so like 37, 38 PSI on the RAV4 versus like 33 on the Honda. So less pressure, softer compound, grip was better, it just was slow. It just was lacking power.
Yeah.
But everything about the CRV was better on the track. The RAV4 was quicker, but the CRV felt way more at home.
Right.
As much as it could feel at home on a racetrack.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So those videos will come out soon-ish, whenever I can finish the wrap-up, final shots. Should we talk about the news?
Yes.
As a previous Genesis owner, why don't you take this one?
Yeah. So I don't think that these are. I don't know if these are coming yet, right?
They're
just
concepts.
concepts,
I think
yeah.
they're
But they look, I think, as legitimately close to production-ready cars as they can be for concepts.
Yes, they look ready to roll
Because
off
like
the
we
floor.
have a photo of a concept Corvette, and it just looks like we're never gonna see anything like that for 80 years. But
yeah. This has like lights in the right spot, it's the right proportions, crash structure.
yeah, I mean, we don't have all the details, but I think there's a strong possibility that these could drop. And I think that they make really good concepts.
They
like the
look great.
Koreans.
They look fantastic.
Hyundai, IKEA, Genesis, like they make
Did you say Hyundai, IKEA, Genesis?
Hyundai, Kia. I don't know. I did say IKEA.
You did say IKEA.
That's hilarious.
Bro, banned. But look at this. It's
yeah.
a G90, but with 2 doors. I mean, that is not something that people buy, but it's good looking.
I know. That's what I said is is there realistically an audience for these things?
Yes, but I mean, this is where they get me.
I love the
single time.
vibe.
Look at the interior.
They look cool.
You've got the saddle brown with the forest green saddle
This
stitching and
reminds me,
accents,
you're
bare wood, and then illuminated on the far side like leaf petals.
you're in Malibu going to surf.
Oh, this is the business right here. This is dope. So this is the coupe rather, and then the other concept was the convertible. Look at that. That's the most royal blue interior I've ever seen. Wrapped like purple on royal blue. That's fantastic to look at. No one would ever buy this, but they should because it's freaking sweet. This is giving Cadillac Soleil vibes.
It is, yeah.
But less old money. This is more contemporary.
Right.
The Soleil is more like roaring 20s.
I just feel like, honestly, if you slapped another brand name on here, you might actually sell them. I'm thinking like Lexus or Bentley or Rolls-Royce.
This is like a Bentley, like a Continental GT convertible, something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I get Bentley from this.
They're
sure.
good, and like it's unfortunate because like these are really cool concepts, and I'm sure we'll see some sort of flavor. They were releasing some pretty cool concepts of like more track focused G70s.
Yeah, the Magmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that orange spec is kind of
That's hot.
Yeah.
That's hot.
We'll see what comes. Hopefully
the Magma GV60.
Hopefully the rear diffs are made out of something other than paper mache.
Maybe if you don't put enormously wide tires on it, then the diffs will be okay.
That could have probably been something.
Okay, next one. We stay in Korea for this. Hyundai Ioniq 6 has been refreshed. So this is what the Ioniq 6 is going to look like. Way cleaner.
Wait, why'd you put
way
a picture
of
your mouse on here?
Computer mouse?
Yeah.
I don't have a picture of your Prius on screen.
Woo!
No.
That's actually what I was thinking though, like similar profiles.
Yeah, just very sculpted, very cool. I think this is very timely, the way that Hyundai's unveiling an Ioniq 6.
You have photos of the back to show people? Because they took away the
They don't really have pictures of the back. They took away, the double rear wing.
Yeah.
Which was necessary. But the Ioniq 6N, which is going to come, so this is the N line. So it's a little bit more aggressive up here. The wheels will be a little bit different. It looks better. This is not going to have the double wing, but the Ioniq 6N will have like a static wing. But it'll look like a wing. It won't be like two molded in duck bills. I think this is a great Model 3 alternative. We just dropped the Model 3 review yesterday. Did it anyway. And I think this is a great Model 3 alternative if you're not into buying a Tesla. And if you are wondering what I mean, go watch the video.
Well, I also just think you don't have any photos of it on here, but the interior, there's buttons galore. So it's literally the polar opposite of a Tesla Model 3, where there's no buttons. Single button. Everything has to be done within the infotainment screen.
Yeah. They said something in the news that buttons are coming back. They're moving away from screens. They understand that people want buttons. I don't know why it took them this long.
Yeah. I think some are.
I don't remember who said it. Maybe it was Hyundai.
I think there's an audience for both. I think the audience for the all-in-one, though, is the minority, like the people that like how it's done in the Tesla.
Yeah.
I prefer buttons. Like my Prius, I think, has a good, like the perfect amount of buttons for me. Like you don't need a buttonize everything. But
no, yeah. Buttons for, I'm going to stay on the Model 3 topic. A turn signal should have a stalk.
That'd be good.
Headlights would be nice to have a button. Mirror controls, nice for buttons. Seat adjustment buttons. Climate controls.
Yeah.
Fan speed, temp, heated and cooled seat. Maybe like a massage seat. Outside of that, I don't mind having to go on the screen. Maybe a camera button would be good too.
Yeah. I wish they went more like Envision 74 concept vibes though.
Yeah, more wedge-shaped.
Did you see they have this hydrogen Nexo? Have you seen what that looks like?
Yeah, the Nexo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But have you seen like the newer concepts of
No.
them? It looks like it's retro styling vibes.
Like cyberpunky?
Yeah.
That's cool.
But I wish that they did that on this one. But
yeah, the Ioniq 6 is like, it's kind of black sheep. Like the Ioniq 5 looks so good and it's so geometric and kind of cyberpunky. And this was just, it came out and it's just really kind of odd looking and the proportions were kind of strange. And like they've cleaned it up and they've done better, but it's just an interesting design philosophy.
I think like, I don't mind when the front kind of looks like a turtle shell or it's so aerodynamic like that. But at least with the Prius, it ends in like a like a 45-degree down.
Yeah, like a more geometric chine.
Versus, I don't like a full turtle shell,
Yes.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just a semicircle going down the
Yeah.
road with like little humps for the front and back, but
Yeah.
it's mostly a semicircle.
I just, like the front being like that is fine.
Yeah.
It's the back that just,
Yeah.
But the interior is great.
The interior is great.
All right,
and
next
it's going to
one.
continue to be good. C63, it's dead. Well, it's not dead, but it is dead. They are going to kill the C43 and the C63, so no more of the four-cylinder. They're going to roll out the 53, the AMG 53 engine, so the straight six turbo. I think it might be plug-in hybrid, although I think maybe it said it wasn't going to be. But the point is, Mercedes has confirmed there's no more V8 headed for the C63. This comes in the wake of all the news of everyone saying, oh, V8s are back. Mercedes is even going to bring V8s back to stuff, but it's not coming to the C-Class. And that just is it kind of sucks. Like, I like AMGs. They're like the thinking man's muscle car, but not if they don't have a V8.
Yeah.
It's always been the Mercedes thing to have the V8 with the plaque on the hood or on the engine cover.
Yeah, I think they really went away from what the audience and the individuals buying these vehicles like wanted, and that's emotion and sound from the V8.
Yeah.
But so I think like a lot of companies have to hit a certain amount of MPG across all of their lineup, and as well as I think probably maybe it's different in Europe, like displacement or even specific engines. So like they're probably forced to say V8s for their high-end G-Wagons and...
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand why. I very much understand why. It is just kind of a bummer. Because like as a kid, I grew up like yearning for a C63 AMG with a roaring V8.
Well, like, I don't know
that
why...
era might be dead.
Yeah, well, and I don't think they're going to sell a lot of these.
They certainly didn't sell many C63s with the four-cylinder.
Right, no. I think their sales will continue to dwindle with the changes. Like,
I mean, the 53 engine, the straight six, is very good. We'll talk about it in our next piece, actually. But it's a good engine. I mean, we've driven it in the E53 and a lot of the other 3 products. It's very smooth. It's just not the V8 character.
well, that's the thing.
sound.
Like, the nice thing about the C63 V8 was that it was somewhat attainable for like the average middle class family.
It wasn't S63 money.
Right,
It wasn't
and
E63 money.
It was nice that you could jump into something that gave you that emotion and experience, and now they kind of took it away.
Yeah.
Now you have to spend what, sub 150s to get a V8 in a Benz?
Yeah, it's big money now for a V8. You got to pay to play. The good news is that AMGs of the past have depreciated like stones, so they're like basically free. So you can still get a C63 with a V8 and save a lot of money as long as you're not worried about reliability.
I feel like you see them for like 20, 25K depending on mileage. Those are pretty high miles, but I'm talking old ones.
Oh, old ones.
Yeah, like
old
20,
ones.
15, 20.
Yeah, I mean, they depreciate faster than the M cars, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And they have more, I would say, more character than the M cars. They're not better. No, let's not get into that.
Let's talk about wagons.
Let's talk about wagons. Wagons are back, people. This is the E53 plug-in hybrid, and you can see that it's a wagon, which normally we would say, oh, well, it's a bummer because it's really cool, but it's not coming here. Wrong. Mercedes is going to give us this, so we have to go and buy this. And it is going to be the 53 engine, so it's going to be a straight six.
You know what
it's
the price
going to have
is?
a plug-in. No, I don't know the price, but it's going to be a lot.
I was going to say, I assume...
But it's also got over 600 horsepower in race start mode, 577 without race start, 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. They haven't quoted like the full EV range, but I did review the E53 sedan, or saloon perhaps, and that had an estimated EV range of like 40 miles. So this is sick, man. This is sick. If I'm not going to have a V8, this is cool. It's really complex, could be unreliable, don't know, but it's going to be fast. It's going to have some character to it. I don't like the light up grille, but that's just a me thing.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and it's really cool, and I'd like one, but I think it's just going to be too expensive for...
You sound broke.
Are you going to buy one?
No, because I'm broke. But
no,
people,
it is cool.
If you can afford it, you should buy it because...
It is cool. Don't get me wrong, it's cool.
This is what I think is cool right now, because for the first time we've had a BMW M5 Touring, and half the sales, I think maybe even just over half the sales of that so far, or at least pre-orders, have been for the touring, for the wagon. Now we're getting this. So wagons are coming back. So we have to show that if they bring wagons here, that we will buy them. The RS6 does incredibly well, and it holds its value incredibly well in the secondary market.
Yeah, it's a dream car.
M5 Touring, doing really well.
Would you rather have a hatch or a wagon?
Wagon. Ask me again.
Okay, but which one can you afford?
Why is this poor shaming me podcast?
No, I'm just asking.
A hatch of what? Versus a wagon of what?
Like, Ioniq 5N, hatch.
Doesn't come in a wagon. I don't understand your question.
I know, I'm just saying, like, would you save up for a car that has...
So would I have an Ioniq 5N that I could actually maybe afford one day, or an E53 AMG wagon that I probably won't be able to afford?
Right.
I'd rather have this.
The wagon.
I'd rather have.
Would you rather have this or the RS6 though? How's that even a thought?
My heart wants the RS6, but I also know myself, and I know that
the RS6 is way better than this.
That's why I said my heart would want the RS6, but my head would be like, well, I can drive this around in EV mode and like be quiet when I want to be quiet, or. So it's an argument of the head and the heart, right? It always is. That RS6 is sick though.
Yeah.
And it rides good too. This is gonna ride probably a lot rougher. Oh, I do love an RS6 though. But wagons are back. That's really the point of this story.
Yeah. We love it.
And you love to see it. Real quick, this is an image of a C9 Corvette concept that came out of England.
Look anything like that.
It looks great, but it's not gonna look anything like this. But it does look cool. Split window, front and rear.
I like that it's walking on water, like Jesus.
It's hovering over an infinity pool. Talk to me about Porsches. This is your story.
Yeah, I mean, not much to say outside of the Porsche 911s. Remember when Matt said 911s last time?
What an idiot.
He said
what an idiot.
That was hilarious. They cost more than a fully loaded Corvette C06.
Look, we're going to talk about this one for a minute because I have some feelings on this.
Oh, okay.
I don't get it.
Don't get what?
I don't get it.
Don't get what?
I don't get the culture, the obsession, the fetishization of the 911. Now, granted, I haven't spent a lot of time behind the wheel on ones.
Yeah.
But for that money, you can have a rear engine flat six, or you can have a fully decked out Corvette Z06 mid-engine, rear drive, flat plane crank V8 5.5 liter IMSA engine with a snappy-ass gearbox.
You're going to catch some hate for all this.
I don't care. I'm ready for it.
After
the internet wants this. The people clearly want this because the people will pay for this. I don't get it.
I want to sit in both, dude, because I've never actually driven a 911 or a C8 Corvette, which is a real shame. But when I was doing a little bit of research on this story, some people were saying that if you're over 6 feet tall, the C8 feels very claustrophobic compared to this.
I took it around Road America for a lap. I don't remember if you were there.
Wait, with a helmet on?
With a helmet on, and I had to sit kind of like this.
Yeah, okay.
I had to sit kind of like this.
Like that guy running. So
it's not like comfortable. Yeah. Throwing shade that no one will know.
That's so funny.
But no, it's not like super comfortable on track,
right.
But everything about the C8 speaks more to me. It is, and I mean,
that's actually surprising.
But it's V8, and it's a screaming flat plane crank V8.
Yeah.
And it's going to be super fast. It's got a snappy gearbox. And not to say that this doesn't have speed and snap and performance. Obviously, it does. But you know how big a role sound plays in my experience behind the wheel.
I know, but that's why it was just funny. A second ago, you said you'd rather have the Benz wagon because you can ride it in EV.
What did I say my heart wanted?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, it's interesting.
People are going to buy this, but it's so much money.
I hope we can get behind the wheel. That's also why I brought it up. All right, next one.
I don't get it. Buy the Corvette. Buy the Corvette.
Look at this beautiful silhouette.
Kia EV truck. See, it says Tasman right there. So we're looking at the back of a Kia Tasman, which they've sold overseas for years. But Kia has come out and said that they're going to bring a pickup truck to the United States. And it's probably going to be EV. I think they've said it's going to be EV.
But I think the logical thought would be is that it's going to look like the Tasman then.
Sure, probably.
And that thing.
No one said it wasn't.
Looks awesome.
Yeah.
It looks so cool. This doesn't necessarily do it justice. but if you do look it up, they look awesome. And I wish that they'd bring it here, honestly, even now, in whatever variation they sell them in.
I think this would scratch an itch that a lot of people have, because like people love the Maverick, and it's a small, hybrid, affordable pickup truck, and people like the Rivian R1T, which is kind of a mid-size-ish electric pickup truck. So something like this, that's let's say $10,000, $15,000 less than the Rivian truck, has decent range,
hope it's
Kia
more than that.
platform, sure, 20 grand, whatever it is. This is going to be a really compelling product, I think. Because it fits in between the R1T and the Maverick really, really well.
It'd be good if they had a hybrid option, I think.
I think they're going to bring both.
EV only would be limiting. I hope it's both.
Sure, but I think, I forget what I read now, but it'll for sure be EV. They might have a hybrid too.
Yeah. Mazda should bring back making trucks. No, they really should.
Did you just learn about this?
What?
Mazda making trucks?
Well, no, it's just timely that I saw one today. I was planning to say that regardless.
I think
You could take a
Mazda's super happy with
CX-70.
their whole "we're making SUVs" thing.
You could take a CX-70.
Don't bring up that car on this channel.
No, but I really like
have
the way the
traumatic stress
Tasman
disorder.
looks. And it'll be cool if they bring a truck here. Hopefully it has a hybrid variant, because I don't think
It'll be midsize.
EVs, trucks, are selling that well, if at all. Losing
they
money on
sell-
the
I
F-150
see
Lightning.
a bunch of Rivians.
Well, that's kind of like a... I
Is it
mean,
not
like...
an EV truck?
Well, no, it is, but
I see a bunch of Lightnings too.
I don't. Or the Silverado EV.
I
Sales
don't see a lot of
dwindling.
those, but I have seen a couple.
The only
Look,
one
they're
I've
not a
ever
mass
seen-
market. They're not a major market thing. And I think I don't want to come out here and act like I'm
Oh, here we go.
championing EV full-size trucks, because I don't think they make sense ultimately. I just don't think they
Those
do.
would
A
probably be a
mid-size
midsize,
EV
yeah.
truck makes a lot more sense though.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I think like a hybrid F-150, the power boost is really good. It's not reliable, but like that makes more sense to me if you're going to look for like a more efficient truck.
That is a real bummer. Next
I think this will be cool. I like it.
Last but not least.
Talk to me about the Charger Daytona.
Yeah, so I mean, just under 5. Is this it? I can't. You should submit
This orange thing.
You should submit this to National Geographic for Photo of the Year.
For those of you that can't tell, which is all of you, it's not the highest res photo that I put in here. But he added this story yesterday while I was out, didn't tell me that he did it, and I had to find a photo to put in the slideshow.
I had no idea that you were going to do slideshow. Otherwise, I would have provided
See,
a
because
photo.
you don't care about my production.
But see, next
you don't
time
care
I
to
will.
ask me things. You want to talk about your swimming lap times, and that's it. You don't give a shit what I do behind the scenes.
Oh man, that's just funny.
Your freestyle speed is whack.
No one's gonna be able to see that it's not.
Good. I'm glad you brought it up then.
No, but what is really interesting is that the market is dictating that this is worth less than an EcoBoost Mustang. So I think they were debuting at around 70K, or like what were they?
Yeah, I think 70K is around MSRP. They're big money. They're big money for sure. And yeah, people don't want. It's not surprising to me at all that Dodge people don't want a $70,000 electric Charger. It looks cool. The interior is good. It's kind of fast, but it's not gotten good reviews. It doesn't sound like it drives that well. It doesn't sound like the range is very impressive, and it doesn't have a V8 or any sort of sound. It has a sound, but it's not like the shifting sound in the Ioniq 5N.
Well, I mean, and the reviews have been absolutely terrible for them.
Yes,
I don't know how many of you've seen, but yeah, I just can't believe it. A Mustang EcoBoost Premium, more expensive. Even a Mach-E,
I almost want to feel bad for Dodge about this, because like their whole brand identity is built on V8s, basically, what it boils down to.
Wait, this one's crazy. A Mazda Miata is more expensive than this.
How much is a Mazda Miata MSRP?
39.
39.3, and people will buy those at MSRP.
Yeah, you know what they want.
So what you're saying is, in at least one situation,
you could literally
this was marked down to under a Miata.
Yes.
And it's got 500 horsepower.
You could strap this and a Corolla together, and I think they'd have less horsepower, but double the price.
You mean a Miata and the Corolla?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. They kind of dropped the ball on this one.
People do not want this.
No, I don't think they do.
I mean,
especially if it looks like this.
I made a reel. I made a little video on one of these when I was in Chicago last fall, and wow, the comments. Wow. Not surprised by any of them. I mean, like, I was jarred to read some of the things that I read, but like, I wasn't surprised. This is not Dodge. It's
Yeah.
not what the Dodge people want.
Right.
This might be what Dodge has to do, but obviously times have changed, not so much anymore, so V8s are coming back. But this is not what the Dodge buyer wants. This is not a Scat Pack buyer. This is not a Hellcat buyer.
Yeah, just like I don't know if this was the car in their lineup to make EV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Durango would have been
I was just about to say.
Yep.
Durango. Why are you gonna keep? Why are you gonna keep an SRT variant of that? But
I don't know, man.
also,
It looks cool. I think it looks good, and the interior is good, and it's pretty practical.
Just
You
the
can have rear
powertrain.
seats.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that it's EV,
Yeah.
and apparently it doesn't drive very well.
Any comments?
We haven't driven one.
Everyone's watching the race, dude.
No comments. Yeah, everyone's watching Formula One. No one wants to leave any comments. I would like at least one comment. Dang. Now I feel like we shouldn't have done this live. Anyway, if you want to leave comments or questions for us to answer on subsequent podcasts, leave it down in the comments section below. But thank you guys so much for watching. Those of you that have watched,
Yep.
you're a little quiet. I'd like some more feedback. But leave it down in the comments what you do think about doing this live versus the pre-recorded podcast. And we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, guys. Later.
Bye. I'm going to turn this off.